Hey, you guys, it's your buddy Basil here, and you are here at the pre-stream sneaky stream, getting ready to watch some Canary Cry News Talk. Welcome, everybody. I just want to pop in here to remind everybody we are continuing to try to get our numbers up over at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. So if you're, if you're open to it, if you're looking for a new experience, and if you're looking for a way to help out your buddies Basil and Gons, you can head to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. You know you want to refresh that username. You know you want to get in with the cool kids. Give it a try. Head to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. We got a good show for you today, so strap on in because we gonna get ready to go. Okay, everybody, here you go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is May 13th. 2020, episode 197. Holy smokes. And this week, the second coming of the coronavirus. And how you doing today, everybody? My name's Basil.
And this is Gons. Thank you guys for joining us here, live streamed to FaceLikeTheSun YouTube channel, Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel, D-Live, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope Twitter. How's everybody doing? Chat's rolling. And we're
going good.
We're only 3 episodes away from 200.
I know, it's starting to freak me out a little bit. We got to do something cool for 200. I think we will do something cool for 200, but we're not going to hype that too much just in case we don't.
We've disappointed others and ourselves way too much with over the years with promises.
We're so guilty of overhyping sometimes without actually pulling through on the promises. But you know what? We've been having more fun lately, man. This is great. This is a good time. We got people rolling into the chat. A lot of Twitchers, a lot of YouTubers. Glad everybody's here. I'm just currently starting the watch party over on Facebook for all the people at the Canary Cry community on Facebook. Want to give a shout out to those people. And while I'm at it, I'll give a shout out to canarycry.community. It's a great place outside of Facebook to connect with listeners of the show, as well as just generally people like you. If you're here, that's the place to go. canarycry.community. And today, Gons, before the show, for the past hour of us getting ready, I've had the unstoppable yawns. I've been so sleepy, so sleepy.
Yeah.
But of course, the second we get on stream, I'm amped, man. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to explore the world through weird headlines.
Yeah, you got the adrenaline rush as soon as we start going live. You can't hold it back.
It really is an adrenaline rush.
It is.
When
It's
you see
crazy.
that little red light go on, it's like, oh no,
game time.
No, it's starting. It's game time.
Also, with this episode, we're going to do the normal Canary Cry News Talk stuff, but I do have a little section in the second half of the show where I spent. You said we prepped for an hour. Of course, I prepped for I don't know, a total of 5 or 6 hours for this one. So hopefully there's some payoff for me.
Lots of fun
Basil.
stuff. You did a deep dive. Deep Google dive.
Google dive.
Very impressed.
And just as a way to start things off, thank you for all the listeners out there. Thank you for all the supporters, because your support matters. You sharing these podcasts, especially the audio version, that matters, because our one of our videos on the Canary Cry Radio channel just got taken down for, inappropriate content. Once again, our Hacking Bill and Star Signs, that's the episode that Sam sat in for me a few weeks ago, and it was taken down because obviously we can't talk about Bill Gates unless we're stroking his ego.
We might actually have made a big mistake putting coronavirus in the title of this video. We'll see what happens.
I don't care.
But we're not spreading any misinformation. We're just reading straight from the headlines, bro. Don't blame us. Ban Yahoo News.
I know. Okay.
Oh, man. I've got a nice little breakdown of Yahoo News later on. So stick around, folks, for that hard-hitting Yahoo News.
We will start with some fake news, although it's fake only because it's satire, and it involves our favorite horseman, Elon Musk.
Oh, you are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
You are connected.
That's right. Last show, everybody, you might remember, and this is in place of a Flippy update. Again, the robotics is not advancing as often as it should for us to do a Flippy update every show. So we're looking to kind of spread our wings a little bit. And I'm going to do that first by bringing you a story from Babylon Bee, everybody's favorite satirical news site here. And the article is entitled, just for reference, in case you missed it, if you missed the last show, if you've been living under a rock, Elon Musk opened up his factory in California, stating that if anybody's going to get arrested, arrest him. He was laying himself down on the law enforcement altar there to make some cars, baby. And here's the result. California police attempt to arrest Elon Musk's holographic decoy as real Musk escapes on a rocket to Mars. That's right. Confused police attempted to take Elon Musk into custody today, only to discover it was only a hologram decoy, and the real Musk was taking off on a spacecraft towards the red planet. The police called for Musk to come in quietly as they raided his Tesla factory, which he reopened in defiance of government orders. Quote, "Hey, it's an imposter," shouted an arresting officer as he attempted to tackle Musk, but face planted on the concrete instead. "He's getting away," cried his partner as he gestured toward a rocket in its final countdown stages. Get up!
I hope this happens one day. I know it's satire,
this
but
is so funny.
It's just,
love this.
Yeah, it's so good. I hope continues. That this is go ahead. Sorry.
Quote, "You'll always remember today as the day you almost caught the great Elon Musk," he cried as his SpaceX rocket took off toward Mars. "Curse you, Musk!" the officers shouted, shaking their fists at the heavens. In a transmission from space, Musk stated he will be moving all Tesla manufacturing to Mars effective immediately to escape California taxes and shutdowns and the constraints of archaic humanity. So there you go. A little update on Elon there. Thank you, Babylon Bee. Continuing to bring us the hard-hitting news we all want, and please return my calls. Okay, what do you got, Gons?
Are you applying?
As we're doing our blitzkrieg update here.
Yeah, let's see. We got a little People Zoo update. If I can find the jingle, I guess I didn't prepare as well for the jingles here.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my People Zoo.
Isaac Weissop tweeted this out, and it's apropos. Don't forget that 2001: A Space Odyssey had a quarantine psyop to cover for the alien intelligence. Arthur C. Clarke also knew we'd find life on Europa, something NASA has been clamoring about. So, and he has a picture here of the actual book version of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And, the aliens are hiding in the robots, and to do so, they needed to quarantine. And there's a whole section here where, they ask him, what is the disease? What are the symptoms? Could it be extraterrestrial? Do you want any help from our medical services? And what was his name? Hal says, "I'm sorry, Dimitri. We've been asked not to say anything at the moment. Thank you for the offer, but we can handle the situation." So there you go. The robot in 2001: Space Odyssey, covering for the aliens.
Oh, classic. I know. They warned us all the way back then, man. The robots are not on our side.
I'm for the robots.
That's right. Oh, and I see a fun thing here. Is this yours?
It is. I thought.
Okay, show us. What do you got?
Okay, so because of this lockdown and everybody, having issues with staying indoors and trying to work from indoors, this is actually an article that was published in 2012, but I thought it'd be fun to bring up. This is from weburbanist.com, and They reported on outside offices, 14 detached work pods, eggs, modules, and more. And if you look through the images here, I mean, some of the stuff is pretty cool, man. I would love to have a little work pod. And so I was thinking, Basil, maybe you and I can do a Kickstarter campaign so we can create our own little suburban, or I guess urban work pods outside in the shape of all kinds of stuff. Eggs.
I would want to dig a hole. I need to make my bunker.
I want to go
my
underground.
little work pod down there with all my cans of beans and stuff. But those are pretty fancy. It's very
Super
Scandinavian,
fancy.
very sort of Scandinavian designs. Maybe IKEA carries some. Ooh, that one's in the shape of a
blob. The blob
yeah,
VB3 by DMVA is a shape of looks like a giant Apple mouse. You know, those white mouse things that you
good time.
Put on your hand. Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd throw it in there.
Have we given everybody a chance to get onto the stream yet? But I got a lot of people complaining that we're not exposing the truth so much in the first 5 minutes of the show. That's the point, people. We got live streams. We got to give everybody a chance to get in the stream. But here it comes, coming straight at you. This is an article from news.yahoo.com, which I will talk about more in a little bit. But the headline. Remember, this is a mainstream Yahoo News article titled "Obamagate is not a conspiracy theory."
Right.
Now,
we got our jingle too. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
We got our little Obama jingle.
Drone strikes have saved lives.
There you go. we're cherry picking a little bit, but
yeah, it's the start of the drone jingle. But you know, we could probably pick out some great Obama quotes to make an Obama jingle. We don't get too political all the time, unless robots and the apocalypse and things get political. Then we can't avoid it. But here we go. Obamagate is not a conspiracy theory. Again, mainstream news.yahoo.com. The article reads, those sharing hashtag Obamagate hashtags on Twitter would do best to avoid the hysterics we saw from Russian collusion believers. But they have no reason to ignore the mounting evidence that suggests Obama's administration engaged in serious corruption. Democrats and their allies who like to pretend that President Obama's only scandalous act was wearing a tan suit are going to spend the next few months gaslighting the public by focusing on the most feverish accusations against Obama. But the fact is that we already have more compelling evidence that the Obama administration engaged in misconduct than we ever did for opening the Russian collusion investigation. It is not conspiracy mongering to note that the investigation into Trump was predicated on an opposition research document filled with fabulism and most likely Russian disinformation. We know the DOJ held contradictory evidence when it began spying on those in Trump's orbit. We have proof that many of the relevant FISA warrant applications, almost every one of them actually, were based on fabricated evidence or riddled with errors. We know that members of the Obama administration who had no genuine role in counterintelligence operations repeatedly unmasked Trump's allies. And we know now that despite a dearth of evidence, the FBI railroaded Michael Flynn into a guilty plea so it could keep the investigation going. What's more, the larger context only makes all of these facts more danging. Almost got me, Yahoo. By 2016, the Obama administration's intelligence community had normalized domestic spying. Obama's director of national intelligence, James Clapper, famously lied about snooping on American citizens to Congress. His CIA director, John Brennan, oversaw an agency that felt comfortable spying on the Senate, with at least 5 of his underlings breaking into congressional computer files. His attorney general, Eric Holder, invoked the Espionage Act to spy on a Fox News journalist, shopping his case to 3 judges until he found one who let him name the reporter as a co-conspirator. The Obama administration also spied on Associated Press reporters, which the news organization called a, quote, massive and unprecedented intrusion. And though it's been long forgotten, Obama officials were caught monitoring the conversations of members of Congress who opposed the Iran nuclear deal. What makes anyone believe these people wouldn't create a pretext to spy on the opposition party? If anyone does, they shouldn't, because on top of everything else, we know that Barack Obama was keenly interested in the Russian collusion investigation's progress. In her very last hour in office, National Security Advisor Susan Rice wrote a self-preserving email to herself, noting that she'd attended a meeting with the president, Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, FBI Director James Comey, and Vice President Joe Biden, in which Obama stressed that everything in the investigation should proceed, quote, by the book. Did high-ranking Obama administration officials not always conduct such investigations by the book? It is curious that they would need to be specifically instructed to do so. It is also curious that the outgoing National Security Advisor, 15 minutes after Trump had been sworn in as president, would need to mention this meeting. None of this means that Obama committed some specific crime. He almost assuredly did not. In a healthy media environment, though, the mounting evidence of wrongdoing would spark an outpouring of journalistic curiosity. Quote, but you might ask, not a quote, sorry. Quotation marks. But you might ask, why does it matter anymore? Well, for one thing, many of the same characters central to all this apparent malfeasance now want to retake power in Washington. Biden is the Democratic Party's presumptive presidential nominee. He's running as the heir to Obama's legacy, and he was at that meeting with Rice. He had denied even knowing anything about the FBI investigation into Flynn before being forced to correct himself after ABC's George Stephanopoulos pointed out that he was mentioned in Rice's emails. It's completely legitimate to wonder what he knew about the investigation. Skeptics like to point out that the Obama administration had no motive to engage in abuse because Democrats were sure they were going to win. Richard Nixon won 49 states in 1972. His cronies had no need to break into the DNC's offices and touch off Watergate, but as the FBI agents involved in the case noted, they wanted to have an, quote, insurance-y policy. Insurance-y. Insurance-y. That's what I have. Is that okay? If the unthinkable happened. In 2016, the unthinkable did happen, and we're still dealing with the fallout 4 years later. We don't know where this scandal will end up, but one doesn't have to be a conspiracy theorist to wonder.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Yeah, crazy, right? And this is on Yahoo, mainstream deal. So for those who might remember, Yahoo sold out to Verizon, which now there's a company called Oath, which is spooky. And we've done all our jokes about Oath. We reported on Oath years ago when this happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a mainstream big tech, telecom company. And this is an incredibly balanced article. I mean, it's wild to see this happening over on Yahoo News. So I looked up Yahoo News on Media Bias Tracker, and they are categorized as left-leaning. But if you guys have been watching the shows over the past month or so, I've been bringing these Yahoo articles, which are not left-leaning at all. It's pretty incredible, actually, to see how far right a lot of these, I wouldn't even say right. I wouldn't even put it in political terms, except for that's just the language we have. But yeah, there you go. If we're tracking mainstream coverage of a lot of stuff, Yahoo is kind of on point. I think somebody over there at Yahoo might listen to the show, Gons.
Well, let's hope so. But even if not, the evidence right now is so overwhelming that, I mean, it would be irresponsible. Well, I guess a lot of these outlets are pretty irresponsible with the reporting on some of these things. So maybe somebody's coming in to actually try to report objectively, and I'm good for them. But
yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, people are always asking me where can we get actual balanced news, and I say nowhere except for Canary Cry News Talk. And they say, well, okay, we need a real news thing. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend people go to Yahoo for all the news, but I gotta say, for a mainstream, traditionally, well, categorically left-leaning outlet. They're basically throwing their boy Obama under the bus here.
We'll see. I mean, it could all be part of the ploy to, try to lessen the whole, I don't know, guilty parties involved.
Come on, Gons.
Well, because
be
a lot
nice
of this,
to my new friend Yahoo. I'm trying to get that sweet Yahoo money.
Well, maybe that's what it is too. Maybe financially, if you think about it, the money might be moving away, or certain writers maybe might be seeing some of their previous monetary connections go away, and now they gotta be a little more balanced, or they gotta at least appeal to those who have the deeper pockets, and they're the ones saying,
are waking up, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Are waking up. I don't know if we have it as an actual story to report, but California just flipped a seat over to red.
That's
just
right.
2 hours ago.
Yeah. That's right. So I mean, yeah,
Crazy.
it's kind of inevitable with some of this stuff, but I'm glad to see it. But I'm not going to really get my hopes up too high. I'm fairly pessimistic when it comes to
what?
politics.
I calls them how I sees them, and Yahoo gets points today for this article.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. Who
right.
doesn't
What do you
get
got?
points is people from Michigan.
Oh, it's the New World Order. It's here.
Sorry, Governor.
People get points. The governor doesn't get points.
Governor. My apologies to the people of Michigan.
Michiganders,
Yes.
you get points.
Michiganders
You
get
Basil
points. All right, this was dailymail.com, your most reliable source for news.
Love it.
Michigan official says any protester brandishing a firearm should be arrested at tomorrow's stay-at-home rally set for the Capitol after Governor Gretchen Whitmer received death threats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says here, protesters in Michigan planning to rally at the state capitol on Thursday are being warned that if they brandish firearms in an intimidating manner at the event, they will be arrested. The warnings come after several members of the groups planning on attending the rally called for the assassination of Governor Gretchen Whitmer, which saw one man writing, "Can we please just take up a collection for an assassin to put that woman from Michigan down?"
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
guys.
don't say that. No points
Don't
for
do
them.
that. That's a good way to get on a list.
On Monday, Whitmer said she respected people's rights to protest, but was becoming increasingly concerned about the violent nature of the comments being made and the extreme rhetoric already connected to Thursday's rally. And a bunch of pictures here. And it says here she was requested that if people decide to protest, that they wear masks and practice social distancing. On Tuesday, Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey said that despite a longstanding rule that Michiganders with permits can bring weapons to the Capitol, anyone brandishing them in such a way as to intimidate or threaten anyone else should be properly handcuffed, properly taken in, and fingerprinted.
That's a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for?
Extreme.
Abstract way of talking about it.
Yeah.
Brandishing, you're allowed to brandish a weapon, actually, no. I don't know what the actual definition of brandish. Yeah, if you're pointing the gun at somebody, don't do that. But yeah, this is going to be a reason for them. If they see a gun in somebody's hands, they're going to take them out. And this is, when this first happened, we mentioned this is going to be a flashpoint situation over there in Michigan. And I don't blame the governor for feeling intimidated. When you're an elected official and you turn against your own people and you try to enslave your citizens and, stop enacting the will of the people and kind of get a little power hungry. Yeah, you're going to be a little nervous when so many people show up on your front lawn exercising the rights that you're trying to take away. I'm just saying, man.
Well, it would be instead of like, hey, maybe I'm overstepping my boundaries, as a governor, they got to up the ante. We're gonna take you out.
Well, right. It's a classic move, trying to squeeze even harder when people start pushing back. And, I got to give the leaders a got to give them a break because, you know, a lot of them don't learn from the past. You know, they all think that they can do it differently and their situation's different than, you know, leaders of the past. And unfortunately, that's not how it goes. You start squeezing the people too much, they squeeze back.
At least
So
all these
Michiganders, they got some cojones over there, man. We got some Michiganders in the chat. So shout out to the Michiganders. What's up, y'all?
There's a picture we're looking at right now from the article that has in the background a lady holding a sign that says Heil Whitmer with the swastika.
Good one.
I'm sure that one will go
Good
over
one.
well.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we'll see what's going on. Stay safe, Michiganders. Don't point your guns at anybody, but you know, exercising your rights. Good for you.
Yep. Okay.
All right. You want to hear a scary thing?
Do
Do you want to take this, or do you want me to take it?
I'll take it. Yeah, because it's
Okay, you take it.
COVID.
I didn't have that second. I was going to have the vaccine jingle, but this is a defense.gov article. And those of you watching, you can see the Pentagon up at the top there. On the left, immediate release. DoD awards $138 million contract enabling pre-filled syringes for future COVID-19 vaccine. Ooh, pre-filled syringes. I'm wondering if, I guess you do fill the syringes up before. I don't know. Anyway, statement attributed to Lieutenant Colonel Mike Andrews, Department of Defense spokesman, quote, "Today, the Department of Defense and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announce a $138 million contract with Apiject Systems America for Project Jumpstart and Rapid USA, which together will dramatically expand U.S. production capability for domestically manufactured medical-grade injection devices starting by October 2020. I don't like the sound of that. Medical-grade injection devices. Spearheaded by the DoD's Joint Acquisition Task Force, JATF, in a coordination with the HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, the contract will support Jumpstart to create a U.S.-based high-speed supply chain for pre-filled syringes beginning later this year by using well-established blow-fill seal BFS aseptic plastics manufacturing technology suitable for combating COVID-19 when a safe and proven vaccine becomes available. By immediately upgrading a sufficient number of existing domestic BFS facilities with installations of filling lines and technical improvements, Jumpstart will enable the manufacture of more than 100 million pre-filled syringes for distribution across the United States by the end of the year 2020. My gosh, that's like a third of the country is going to be.
Bro, oh my gosh.
What?
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
No, I'm just.
The contract also. The contract also enables Apiject Systems America to accelerate the launch of Rapid USA manufactured in new and permanent U.S.-based BFS facilities with the ultimate production goal of over 500 million pre-filled syringes in 2021. Another 500 million?
500 million?
Oh my gosh.
Why it's so many?
That's more than the population of the U.S. This effort will be executed initially in Connecticut, South Carolina, and Illinois, with potential expansion to other U.S.-based locations. Rapid will provide increased life savings capability against future national health emergencies that require population-scale vaccine administration on an urgent basis. Rapid's permanent fill finish production capability will help significantly decrease the United States' dependence on offshore supply chains and its reliance on older technologies with much longer production lead times. These supplies can be used if a successful SARS-CoV-2 vaccine is oral or intranasal rather than injectable. Okay? What's up? What are you...
Dude, just everything about this is crazy. First of all, why is it the DoD doing this?
Well, government, New World Order.
That's
hypothetical.
Bro. It's a rhetorical question. Why would the DoD be in charge of providing a vaccine that doesn't exist, that they're basically prepaying for a product that's not invented. They're kickstarting. They're kickstarting.
Yeah, this is a
the
Kickstarter
vaccine.
campaign. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the fact that it's the DOD just makes it that much more spooky. I mean, you're talking about getting either the National Guards involved or the military of some kind. Does DOD, they don't do law enforcement, do they? They're just military,
Yeah,
right?
they're supposed to be military. I thought. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think I don't even think there's too much to go in here except for, if you're talking to your normie friends, why is the DOD paying for this? Why are they paying out $140 million before we even know that an effective vaccine is possible? And
why are they going to make 500 million?
Why 500 million
available?
I don't understand. Maybe for babies being born. I don't know what the heck. They're future proofing their vaccine.
The only part that I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense is the part at the very end where it says that they're decreasing the offshore supply chains and building it in that
right. That's cool.
In-house.
I'm down
That's
with
fine,
that.
But why go so New World Order with it? I guess it's not a surprise to anybody that's really listening. But
I know it kind of sucks when we get articles like this, and the idea is to talk through it, but it's like everything is so obvious and blatant. It's like not even worth breaking down. But just in case anybody out there is wondering. It didn't set off alarm bells to know that the Department of Defense is kickstarting a non-existent vaccine, so they can, get it out to sites throughout the country as fast as possible. In the meantime, we have, restrictions starting to lift in some places. We have restrictions going off into never-ending land in other places. We're going to talk about both of that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Pre-filled syringes are the least of my worries.
Conspiracy
when
Che
it comes to all this.
In the chat just said, I feel like you guys don't understand what the New World Order. I think she meant is what the New World Order is. Pretty sure we've been covering the New World Order since 2011. And
she caught us, man.
Pretty sure
we don't know what the NWO is.
I know.
Well, can someone tell me why this vaccine? Why is that bad? No, we get it. We just know that you guys also get it, so we don't need to go into the 300-year-old history.
400.
Okay. Anything else to say about that?
More than that.
400. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, thousands if you want to get really deep into it, but
I know. I was picking the Illuminati start point, but you can go back to the garden.
You can go back to the garden. Well, you can go to the New Atlantis.
Back than that.
The New Atlantis, written by Francis Bacon. And if you read that, man, it's basically modern society imagined in fictional literature there. So,
what's going to save us though, Gons?
What's that? Money?
The NWO.
More NWO. The NWO is going to save us from the NWO. Actually, that is part of the plan. And
I'm sorry.
money.
I meant money.
Money
is going to save us.
$100 billion. I don't have any money.
Money.
Yep.
All right. This is on WashingtonPost.com, so you know it's good. Straight from the Bezos man. House Democrats introduce coronavirus rescue bill. Another one that would direct more than $3 trillion to states, individuals, and health systems.
$3 trillion.
All right. So we already got our two trill. We got our $2 trillion out the door. Let's amp it up to another 3. That makes $5 trillion. Oh my gosh. I just kind of gagged a little bit at that number. Here we go. Article reads, House Democrats introduced a sprawling coronavirus rescue bill Tuesday that would direct more than $3 trillion to state and local governments, health systems, and a range of other initiatives, setting up a huge clash with Senate Republicans and the White House over how to deal with the sputtering economy. The legislation also would send a second round of stimulus checks to millions of Americans and include more funding for the Postal Service. Oh, thank God. Not every component of the measure would include more government spending. Some parts would aim to address the coronavirus pandemic in other ways, such as requiring passengers to wear masks on airplanes and public transit. Dude, way, Jose.
How does
I am already way too claustrophobic on airplanes to add a mask to that.
Well, I'm wondering how having that money. I mean, what are they going to make more masks? Is that what they're doing, or make it? I don't know. I just don't understand how the $3 trillion is going to. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, moving on. Republicans rejected the legislation even before they saw it. Good old Republicans. Describing it as a liberal wish list that would go nowhere in the Republican-led Senate. For example, the bill would suspend a tax provision for 2 years that limits tax breaks for upper-income households in high-tax states, something Democrats have tried to change for several years. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he was at work on crafting liability protections for businesses instead. Quote, "This is not a time for aspirational legislation," McConnell said. "We got to get a hold of this bill. I would be very curious to see which, museum or performing arts center is getting $50 million around on this one." I heard
it was another one of those like over 1,000-page documents. By the way.
Of course. Yeah. Well, that's, you make it long and nobody has time to read it. That's the whole point. The massive new Democratic bill was assembled by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, surprise, surprise, and her top lieutenants without input from Republicans or the Trump administration. Excuse me. It's less an opening bid in a bipartisan negotiation than an expression of House Democrats' priorities that they hope will resonate with the public as the nation suffers through the worst economic calamity since the Great Depression. As health officials and economic advisors warn that the pandemic and economic fallout are likely to drag on through the summer and that at least into fall, lawmakers from both parties are watching how the government's response to the virus could affect the November elections. Oh my gosh, I forgot it was an election year for a second. Yeah, sorry, I got a frog in my throat and I forgot to bring my virtual reality water. The article continues. The U.S. economy lost 20.5 million jobs in April, pushing the unemployment rate up to 14.7%. Many experts think the rate will go even higher in the coming months as many Americans remain unsure about returning to work or spending money as the government continues to try to contain the pandemic. Quote, "We must think big for the people now, because if we don't, it will cost more in lives and livelihood later," Pelosi said at a news conference. Quote, "Not acting is the most expensive course." What do you think locking people in their houses is? Okay, keeping the 1,800-page legislation, which the House is expected to vote on Friday, would devote nearly $1 trillion to state, local, territorial, and tribal governments and establish a $200 billion Heroes Fund to extend hazard pay to essential workers. It also would send a second and larger round of direct payments to individual Americans, up to $6,000 per household. Oh man, I never got my original stimulus check. There's $6,000 going out.
Bitter about that. Keep bringing it up.
I'm just saying, man, where's my money? Other parts of the measure would increase nutrition assistance benefits by 15% and provide $175 billion in housing assistance, among other things. A $600 weekly increase in unemployment insurance would be extended through January, and the bill directs an additional $75 billion for coronavirus testing and contact tracing. There's that contact tracing again.
Yeah.
We got to not only test for the virus, but we need money to surveil the society. Other provisions include $25 billion for the U.S. Postal Service, a frequent target of attacks from President Trump.
Zinger.
That's my favorite. Nemesis: Trump versus Postal Service. And a new requirement for passengers and employees on airlines, public transit systems, and Amtrak trains to wear masks, which we know are not effective.
Yep.
Protections are included for legitimate cannabis-related businesses. Oh, thank you. And there is $3 billion to increase mental health support and $400 million to help the Census Bureau deal with coronavirus-related delays in the 2020 census. No, I'm not going to make a big deal about that. The Census Bureau, they're always having trouble.
Yeah.
Let me see how much more of this there is. There's a few. Anything you want to talk about first?
I mean, it just seems like the same. At this point, we already printed, what, 6 trillion? We already printed more in a few weeks than we did in 100 plus years.
2.
So, well, no, it was 2 that went out. I think it was 6 total. And 4 of it went to...
with other stuff.
Yeah, went to like big businesses and stuff.
It's interesting because there's all this confusion about, won't this cause inflation and things like that? And apparently none of the politicians are worried about that necessarily. It's because of modern monetary theory. If you're looking for something to kind of research that isn't necessarily having to do with fallen angels and Illuminati lizard people, just look up modern monetary theory. That's the economic model that they're using, where they think they can just print as much money as they want.
And it's they really go by the definition of fiat, which is a decree by some kind of authority. So if the government says that $1 is worth $1 no matter what, then your purchasing power of that dollar will not change, despite the fact that there is way more dollars in circulation. Usually when that happens, other countries that have tried to do that went into hyperinflation. Lebanon recently, we reported on it. They're burning banks and burning ATMs and stuff. They're holding funerals for walking caskets with their currency on it. And it's happened to Venezuela and other countries. And a lot of those are based on the US dollar as well. Like the dollar is the backup or the reserve currency. So I guess if you're the reserve currency, you could do whatever you want, but I don't know. It's in the long term, this is not going to work. I just don't see it working. I really don't. But that's just my own theory in terms of money.
Here's my thing. There's a lot of people out there doing podcasts, doing YouTube shows, and they got a lot of good reasons why this wouldn't work. In the long run, I'm not a professional economist or a money scientist. So, I'm not going to try to make people think that they should trust my advice on this. But it goes against common sense. It goes against everything we've been told about our own economy. And it goes against, until you start looking at modern monetary theory, none of it makes any sense until you realize that, they think they can just tell you what money's worth, and then you just believe it. And then that's how we go. We just do what we're told and wear our masks and accept all our free money. But it is interesting, how a certain part of the political population wants to keep everything closed, and another part of the political population wants to open everything back up and get back to work. They're both trying to fix the economy. One of them just wants to rely on the government to do so, and the other side just wants to, get back to it's good, honest work, cutting hair and, normal job
podcasting.
stuff.
Yeah.
Podcasting, yes.
We'll
not
see.
Much, but it's honest work.
Well, there's a part of me that thinks that Trump knows, he's responding to the sort of economic crash. And right now we're in this situation where the stock market is not reflecting the real economy, where the stock market is like still going up and up and up. And while the economy is just getting worse and worse. And there's that discrepancy there. And in that sense of the Democrats appealing to that mindset of like, hey, they just printed all this money and bailed out these huge companies printing trillions. Why not print trillions to help the normal person out? So they're appealing to that concept, but it's always a little overreach with this stuff, and it's always when Pelosi comes out. First off, how many monkeys does she have working in the background? She always comes out with these like these bills that are thousands of pages. It's like she has time to write all this, or
yeah, that's the strategy, man.
I know, but it's just funny how she's always coming
Yeah, she's
standing
got a
on
lot of
stage
typing.
and
A lot of typing going on over there.
Anyway, that's an
Okay,
interesting
you
story.
good?
More printing, more the money.
Yeah. All right, I want to take just a quick second, Gons. Just a quick little break here. Nobody leave.
Okay.
Nobody leave. I'm going to
right,
be giving
fine.
some shout outs. So thanks, everybody, especially those over at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Thank you, everybody who's made the switch over there. Our average is going up, so it's working. You guys are helping us. We are soon going to be able to activate some very fun tools on Twitch. So all the Twitch users, thank you guys so much. And we got some fun ones coming in, Gons. We got quite a bit of followers over the past couple days. So I can't call out everyone. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to call out some random ones. And if you're in the chat right now in Twitch and you're new, say it. Say you're new, and I'll call you out here on the show, because I'd rather call out people who are watching the show than people who are not. So here we go, going down the list here. First of all, we have Lion Soul Drive coming in. Thank you. We got Notchback01 in the chat. Shout out. What's up, buddy? Didymus79. This is second week coming in. Thanks, buddy. We got a Bama Ryder is a follower on their Twitch. Let's see who else we got here. Firestorms. That's fun.
I like it.
Yeah, we got Bambulaman. We got Nan Believes in Giants.
Ooh.
Okay, Nan Believes in Giants. We got Watchman El Velador 83. What's up, buddy? Got Leanne. I don't know.
We picked you.
I don't know how to. Yeah, you tricked me. Hold on. Let me go down there. Oh, man. The chat's moving too quick. We got one raw one. We got Dr. Gently. We got Nitro FZ1.
I was like Nitro.
Nitro FZ1. Yeah. Who else we got here? Hold on. No, okay. All right.
One more?
For all eyes to see.
Excellent.
There you are.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, we also got one called Flippy Official.
Ooh.
Flippy Official is in the house.
Flippy Official. Sorry for not having a Flippy
and we
update.
got Jeff Bezos _ RFID chips in stock.
Pretty awesome name. Especially
we'll
since
do some more shout outs later in the show. Thank you guys for helping us we need to average at least 75 viewers over an average concurrent viewership of 75 over a whole month. So keep popping in there. We got to get the average up. Even if we just have even if we have an average of 100 today, we need to keep that going, because we got to make up for lower days earlier in the month. So
just a quick mention, the one person watching on DLive, I think his name is Nicodemus, and he's been posting a bunch of GIFs and stuff in the chat. So shout out to Nicodemus. And also
Nicodemus, the one DLive
audience member. And also Marcy T, thank you for the super chat, $2. Appreciate it. And I think that's it for now for shout outs for this little round. I'm going to give a shout out
to Frankly Fank. All right. Popping in. Earthwalker1. Yeah, okay.
Also, Twitch is owned by Amazon, I think. So, we may not last there forever, but for now,
Bezos is keeping an eye on us, man.
I know. Now now especially since Bezos is with his RFID stock is a listener of the show.
RFID chips in stock. Bezos said it himself.
Excellent. Okay.
Want to get back into it?
Yes, let's do it. So we got more New World Order stuff here.
Oh, it's the New World Order. It's here.
I chose this one just because the outlet, people.com, People Magazine.
Ooh. Yeah.
Los Angeles stay-at-home order will go until August with all certainty, officials say. And I think you were updating a couple hours ago saying that it's even longer. Indefinitely was the...
Yeah. The thing I saw said the health minister or whatever, the health guy over in California did not put an end date on the safer at home order.
All right. Well, it says here, stay-at-home orders will likely remain in place for Los Angeles County residents for most of the summer. On Tuesday, the county's public health director, Barbara Ferrer, warned during a Board of Supervisors meeting that a dramatic change to the virus and tools that we have at hand to actually fight it is necessary before lockdown rules can be relaxed, saying that the order will, quote, with all certainty, be extended for the next 3 months, ABC News 7 Los Angeles reports.
Dude, what?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I do think recovery will be months long based on the tools that we have at hand today, Ferrer said. Ferrer's comments came as Los Angeles County continues to see a spike in COVID-19 related cases and deaths. According to the New York Times database, Tuesday saw another 566 infections and 39 deaths. As of Wednesday morning, a total of 33,180 cases and 1,613 deaths have been recorded, making Los Angeles County, California's epicenter of the coronavirus. Am I reading this weird, or is this just written kind of weird? Governor,
that font bigger, bro.
It's as big as it gets on my little Brave browser. Governor Gavin Newsom has allowed individual counties to approve reopening plans for residents. Los Angeles County officials had previously set May 15th as the deadline for its safer at home order, and the region's reopening based on a 5-point prerequisite plan that factors in benchmarks, including the healthcare system's capacity to treat patients, the protections in place for those at risk, the ability to maintain physical distancing. Ooh, physical distancing.
Hey, there
Surprised
we go.
they put that in there instead of social distancing.
No more social distancing. Hey, good.
And the availability to testing and contact tracing. Oh, there you go. ABC News 7 has reported. You get the point here. 3-month extension, of course, because the deadline was coming up, and we must maintain control. The New World Order must keep control. Yeah. The second sort of sub story to this, Riverside County. A report, this is lawenforcementtoday.com. Report, California sheriff refuses to enforce Newsom's stay-at-home orders. And this is a couple days old, so I guess it doesn't necessarily relate directly to the announcement from yesterday and I guess today about the indefinite lockdown. But Riverside County, as we've been reporting, law enforcement officers are the ones who are being put squarely in the middle between power-mad governors and the American people, including business owners. While governors sit at home in their multi-million-dollar mansions or send their families to Florida estates, it is law enforcement officials who are left to carry out what are often Constitution-skirting emergency orders. A sheriff in California just came down on the side of liberty by refusing to enforce stay-at-home mandates. According to The Blaze, this past week, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco made it quite clear that if anyone enforces lockdown orders in California, it will not be his department. In a speech before the county's Board of Supervisors, Bianco pulled no punches. Quote, "From the beginning, I told you that I would not be enforcing this stay-at-home order, partly because I trusted our residents' ability to do the right thing without the fear of being arrested," Bianco said. "I knew that they could be trusted to act as responsible adults, and I was correct." And, it goes on.
Riverside, yeah. And for those who don't know, Riverside is right next to L.A.
Yes. The IE Inland Empire. So, yes.
This is, same area for those who don't know California geography. But Orange County, Gons, where you're at, what are they doing there?
I don't know. Everyone's outside.
Yeah.
No one's really... taken too much of a stance with that kind of stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's both.
Well,
it's part and part. Some people, this morning again, I saw people driving in their cars with their mask on and rubber gloves. So some people are still in it, but I see a lot more people just coming out and ignoring a lot of stuff.
very interesting variables to the whole thing. Not only is there the geographic region and the lawmakers and the law enforcement in that area, but also just people's level of brainwashiness. That's where the social policing ourselves comes in.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's been so many things that have happened over the years, whether it's protesters or riots or mainly protesting and riots and things like that, where the police get a bad rap a lot of the times. Especially, I remember when the pipeline, what was it, the Standing Rock, the Dakota pipeline thing,
right. Yeah.
Where you got a bunch of Native Americans out there trying to stop the pipeline from going through, and it's freezing cold outside, and the police are out there like spraying people with cannons, with water cannons. You're like, okay, guys, come on, that's not cool. So not a lot of love for police a lot of the times, but I got this article from lawenforcementtoday.com, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite websites.
Apparently.
And the article is titled, "Police Departments Are Starting to Ignore Power-Hungry Governors' Overreach." Now, this was on April 24th. So what's in this is a couple weeks old, but also I think that the sentiment would only grow. So article reads, as America held hostage Chinese coronavirus enters its sixth week, police administrators across the country are starting to take a stand against power-hungry politicians who are trying to use law enforcement agencies as some kind of quasi-Gestapo. While some chiefs are buying into the new police state, such as the one in Westport, Connecticut, calling you out, Westport, Connecticut, who had officers flying pandemic drones to conduct surveillance on residents, other police officers and administrators are starting to take a stand. It should be noted that after a public outcry, the Westport PD has ceased the drone flyover program. Oh, man. Back when we were looking at drones pretty much every week, there was that law where if a drone flies over your property, you can shoot it. You can take it down.
Right.
And I recently saw for sale somewhere shotgun shells, 12-gauge shells that had a net in them. Ooh. And they were drone protection shells.
Wow! So you can bring them down.
Yeah, they had the shot in there and connected. I think it was an 8-shot. And connected to the shot was a net that would screw up the drone and take it down. If anybody knows where to get
it's going to be the new hunting.
It's
everyone's favorite hunting.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally. In the full-on apocalypse, when the drones have become sentient and are patrolling their human slaves, those net shells are going to be pretty important.
Was it a Transformers movie when I can't remember the guy, the actor, he basically tracks down a drone and brings it in, and anyway, sorry, go ahead. Obscure reference to some movie, I think is Transformers. Somebody in the chat will know. Anyway, go on.
Jeff Bezos' RFID chip in stock is shocked at me for some reason. I'm trying to figure out why. Okay, continuing. On Wednesday, the Houston Police Officers Union gave notice that their officers would not enforce the ruling of local county judge Lina Hidalgo, which made it mandatory for any individual over the age of 10 to wear a mask. So, okay, cool. Continuing quote, the Houston Police Officers Union believes everyone should be wearing a mask in public in order to protect themselves from the virus, and we are encouraging all of our officers to wear a mask, the union said in a statement. However, we draw the line at the draconian measures Hidalgo decided to engage in. Okay. Our officers work every single day to bridge the gap with our community and earn their trust. We will not stand idly by while Hidalgo to tear that bridge down with her horrific leadership and echo chamber decision making. Ooh. Governors, not a good time to be a governor right now. The police union, in fact, questioned whether Hidalgo's ruling was constitutional, having contacted the state attorney general's office for a determination. The union noted that until Hidalgo, oh my gosh, this name is so hard, Hidalgo
Hidalgo.
made the rulings. Officers had discretion in the enforcement of the mask and public order since the department's ranks were strained due to the pandemic. Meanwhile, in Washington state, our new favorite, Sheriff Adam Fortney of Snohomish County, said on Tuesday that his officers would also abstain from enforcing lockdown orders, joining the sheriff of Franklin County, J.D. Raymond, who said that he would not prohibit churches and businesses from opening so long as reasonable social distance policies were in place. In a Facebook post, Fortney said, quote, "As I have previously stated, I have not carried out any enforcement for the current stay-at-home order. I will always put your constitutional rights above politics or popular opinion. We have the right to peacefully assemble. We have the right to keep and bear arms. We have the right to attend church service of any denomination." Yeah, Fortney. Fortney has said that the lockdown orders imposed by Democratic Governor Jay Inslee are inconsistent, where he subjectively deemed certain businesses as essential while dismissing others as not. For example, Inslee said that the state or government construction projects were essential. Private contractors are not permitted to work. Fortney noted that when he shows up for work, he sees, quote, "landscapers show up each day to install new landscape and maintain our flower beds." I think he's talking about at the station there. He then noted that, quote, "a father who owns a construction company and works alone while outdoors is not allowed to run his business to make a living to provide for his wife and children?" Question mark. In the case of Franklin County, Sheriff J.D. Raymond noted in a letter that while he believes the current outbreak is a real concern and that he believes maintaining social distancing is important, he remains concerned about the constitutional rights of his constituents as well as the governor's overreach in trying to regulate the populace. The article goes on for quite a bit, calling out a lot of the law enforcement officials who are also joining in the cause, as well as putting on blast some of the ones who are not. So yeah, there you go, man. There are good cops out there. I know we have. I know for a fact we at least have a handful of cops who listen to the show. So hey, let us know if your department out there is putting the constitutional rights of citizens over the sort of temper tantrums of the governors. Let us know. But I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's good that. At least, we've mentioned this before. Actually, I was talking to some people back in October during the Hear the Watchmen conference. And one of the questions I had, because there was a couple people that are ex-military, people that allegedly had some high clearance. And I asked them point blank, like, if there are orders to lock down, can people at the law enforcement level reject those orders? And he said, yes, absolutely. So it does matter that these, a lot of the law enforcement people, of course, there are bad apples in any batch, but for the most part, I think the people that are more patriotic might see this as definitely an overreach. But there's one area. I don't even know
if it has to be patriotism. I mean, it's just common decency at some point.
Yeah, of course. But there's one area of the country that is not having as much luck. Much like Los Angeles, it's New York.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
And I really hope.
Real quick before you jump right in. Oh, I'm sorry. A joke?
No, not a joke. I just don't think I have access to this page, the New York Times article, because I have to subscribe to it.
Oh, let me see if I can get it open here. I want to give a shout out to Ike, the tinfoil hat man. Finally made it to alive. Glad you're here, buddy.
All right.
You made it.
Thank you, sir.
Ike, the tinfoil hat man. Jeff Bezos RFID chip in stock is having a really fun time with Twitch. The emojis over on Twitch. That's one great thing about Twitch. They have a crazy collection of user-generated emojis, which is just nuts. And Frame of Dust, shout out to Frame of Dust. He says, quick question, when can you put subs on your stream? Subs are when we have 30 days averaging 75 concurrent viewers, which is why I keep harping on getting a big average viewership. Once we do that, I think we have about 10 more days on our trial period everybody knows. And then we become partner, and you can subscribe to the channel, which has a bunch of fun stuff attached to it.
I
so
see,
there you go. Thanks.
Our
Thanks for the question.
second D Live person watching is Titus Frost, who was a guest on Canary Cry Radio episode 115, hashtag Pizzagate is real with Titus Frost back in 2017. So welcome to the live stream here on D Live.
Yeah, welcome. D Live, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that's all I got. What you got for us?
I have this article that I cannot read because I'm behind a paywall. And I'm trying to find.
I'm gonna try to open that.
Well, let me go to the other article first. Then this is how to become a contact tracer in New York City. Paraphrased, how to become a snitch in New York City. New York, a massive initiative is underway in New York to hire several thousand people to trace the contacts of a person newly infected with COVID-19. Since getting huge groups of people together in one place for a contact tracing boot camp is impossible, the training will be done through a 5 to 6 hour online course launching Monday. The Fund for Public Health, a nonprofit that supports programs by the city's Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, is responsible for the hiring portion of the plan. Available positions include supervising contact tracer, contact tracer 1, and contact tracer 2. Salaries range from $57,000 to $65,000. Man, these guys are going to. That's
not a big enough range for a supervisor.
That's not a big range, but that's quite a bit of money for a 5 to 6 hour online training course and snitching on people.
What do they do? Yeah, tell me how does it work? We all know how the snitching turned out for those folks who got doxxed. Yeah, 900 snitches got doxxed.
Contact tracers are responsible for interviewing the patient to identify who they may have been in contact with during their illness and during the few days prior to exhibiting symptoms. The tracers then reach out to all those individuals to alert them to the risk of infection. Contact tracers are responsible for referring contacts to healthcare providers and asking non-ill people to stay home for 14 days so as not to spread the virus. Those contacted by the contact tracer are not informed of who contracted the disease, according to the CDC. The video training includes having actors portray how the tracing interviews, mostly conducted by phone or video chat, are supposed to go. Quote, "There's all this discussion about using technology in some way," like the DOD's 500 million pre-loaded syringes. "But fundamentally, this is a pretty human activity," said Josh Scharfstein of the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, which developed the course with Bloomberg Philanthropies, the charitable foundation of former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Contact tracers will also conduct in-person investigations into congregate settings and selected cases and contacts as needed, according to the FPHNY website. A contact tracing call center will operate every day from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Local and state officials have said that contact tracing will help box in the virus. 1,000 contact tracers would be hired immediately, announced Mayor de Blasio on April 27th. "Every time someone tests positive, we can swing into action and test their contacts," said he's way too pumped about that, you know. As soon as there's one positive, he's like, "Oh, let's get it on. Let's start tracing those people."
Snitches. Snitches attack.
Scharfstein said that the training to be offered on the Coursera website will be available to anyone, not just those seeking to become contact tracers, the developer said. Countries where the contact tracing has been implemented have been able to reopen for business sooner and have had fewer deaths and lower rates of infection. And little Cuomo said that any region in New York would require 30 contact tracers per 100,000 residents, and so on and so forth. So, yep, there you go. They're training people now. They're really, moving forward with the whole Trace Act thing. And
I'm telling you, man, they're getting us to police ourselves.
The virtual panopticon. That's right.
Yeah, the virtual panopticon. Somebody in the chat, Veslonis, asked if I was an electrician. I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I don't know why you ask. I'm scared to know. So I don't know. Give me some Give me some facts about that if you can.
Did you find an alternative to the New York Times article that I can't get in?
You know I can't type with this thing on.
All
I
right,
tried opening
okay.
it. It gave me the article for a second, and then it caught me. It says,
Yeah.
hey, you haven't given us...
You
You haven't
know,
subscribed.
let me refresh. Coronavirus live update. Wisconsin Supreme Court strikes down governor's stay-at-home orders. Ooh, this is like staying open here. President Trump pushes to reopen the nation's schools and criticizes Dr. Fauci's warning about moving too fast. You know, I don't even know if that's the correct article. Anyway, looks like it's open here. Let's see how long it stays open. Oh, there it goes. No good. I'm going to mention the last story here about New York because, you know, if it wasn't bad enough that all this other stuff's going down with the tracing, you have this here.
Welcome to Chinese Show!
I know people were missing it.
Space. Wanna go to space?
Are they missing the article?
No, they were missing Chinese news jingle.
ArsTechnica.com. Large chunks of Chinese rocket missed New York City by about 15 minutes.
Weird measurement.
Yeah.
It missed New York by the time-traveling rocket from China. Misses New York by 15 minutes. People
didn't really know about this one. A week ago, China launched the newest version of its largest rocket, the Long March 5B, from its southernmost spaceport. The launch proceeded normally and represented another success for China as it seeks to build a robust human spaceflight program. Over the next few years, this rocket will launch components of a modular space station. Notably, because of this rocket's design, its large core stage reached orbit after the launch. Typically, during a launch, a rocket's large first stage will provide the majority of thrust during the first minutes of launch and then drop away before reaching an orbital velocity, falling back into the ocean. Then, a smaller second stage takes over and pushes the rocket's payload into orbit. However, the Long March 5B rocket had no second stage. For last week's launch, then, 4 liquid-fueled strap-on boosters generated most of the thrusts off the launch pad. Thrust,
Is this a
singular.
real article?
I hope so. It's Ars Technica.
It's sounding kind of dirty.
Okay. After this, the core stage with 2 YF-77 main engines pushed an experimental spacecraft into orbit before payload separated. The payload separated. This left a large core stage with the mass slightly in excess of 20 tons in an orbit with an average altitude of about 260 kilometers above the Earth. Because the pedigree of this orbit was only about 160 kilometers above the planet, the core stage was slowly drawn back towards the planet as it interacted with the planet's upper atmosphere. And this is what I have highlighted here. This is a rather large object to make an uncontrolled return to Earth, according to Jonathan McDowell, an astronomer at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, Smithsonian there, and keen observer of satellites. This is the largest vehicle to make an uncontrolled re-entry into Earth's atmosphere since 1991, when the Soviet Salyut 7 space station broke up over Argentina. And it says down here, the U.S. Space Force's 18th Space Control Squadron confirmed that the core stage re-entered Earth's atmosphere at 11:33 a.m. On Monday at a location over the Atlantic Ocean. At this point, the core stage would have been at an altitude of 80 kilometers and rapidly descending toward Earth. McDowell said that there were some reports emerging about possible debris found downrange in Côte d'Ivoire. And it is perhaps worth noting that before it entered Earth's atmosphere, the core stage track passed directly over New York City. Had it re-entered the atmosphere only a little bit later, perhaps 15 to 20 minutes, the rocket's debris could have rained down on the largest metro area in the United States. So there you go. It could have been worse, New Yorkers. You could have had Chinese rocket debris coming down from the heavens.
That would have been just what New York needed in this.
Well, maybe it'll take out all the snitches.
Down. Yeah, churches, snitches are getting hired. Churches are getting permanently closed, and then just fiery molten metal from space Rains over the city.
Raining down. So there you
Yikes.
go.
I wonder what that would mean for, some, what am I thinking? Geopolitics. If one country rains molten rocket metal over another country, we don't need more tensions with China, but certainly a bunch of New Yorkers would not have been happy about that.
Yeah. Tough time for Chinese restaurants in New York right now. Would have been worse. What do we got here?
I think we're moving into your Google gamut.
My Google gamut. Okay, so here's the deal with the Google gamut.
Okay, what is this?
So here's what I did.
Okay, wait. Before you do your Google gamut,
okay.
And I'm sorry, we're gonna lose some viewers here, but you know what? We gotta give some shout outs.
Okay.
So I want to give a shout out to, let's see, hold on, let me refresh the list here again. If this is your first time tuning in and you just joined Twitch, pop it into the chat. Let me know if it's your first time here, and I will give you some shout outs. I want to thank the Lion 777 for popping in here. Hour of Hours popping in. Thank you, Hour of Hours. Let's see here. We got Slooks7. Thanks for being here. Coma Patient popping in. Coma Patient. You got a lot going on, yeah. Didi59. Cool Runnings Mon. This is his second time. We like your name, Cool Runnings Mon.
Cool Runnings.
Let's see. Sticks of TNT is a user.
Oh gosh.
Here.
That's how we get in
Big
trouble.
Kid. Sticks of TNT, I know. Big Kid Brother.
All right.
I don't know if we gave this person a shout out last time, but Gons Basil.
I saw that one. I don't think we did though, but hello, Gons Basil.
I don't think we did either. Gons Basil. I also want to thank in the chat here back in 19, first time.
All right.
Jen Ant TV or Jen Ant V. Thank you. Sorry, I can't figure out your name. Last of the Runaways. I think we may have thanked them before. So let's see. My VR hand is out of control.
There's proof here that the VR tech is not where it needs to be.
I know, it really isn't. You know what it is people have noticed, I haven't addressed it, but people have noticed that my microphone arm now comes up and over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Like that. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
I have it attached to my chair now, which is much nicer. It kept falling off my desk because my desk has kind of a rounded edge to it. So I thought, I'll put it on the chair like I'm getting into some sort of robot exoskeleton. And it's kind of nice, except for if I lean back in my chair, the microphone hits me in the face. So I kind of have to sit very straight forward.
Awesome.
And then let me give a shout out to Roll Tide Roll 878.
Excellent.
Nan believes in giants. I gave you a shout out already, but thanks for mentioning that again.
Give another ding.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Okay. And thanks to all of our Twitch viewers. We're at over 100 viewers. This is great. Kind of fluctuates up and down, but we need to get that number up, baby, because we got to average 75 concurrent viewers to unlock all sorts of fun stuff, and that's an average over a month. So keep coming to Twitch, folks. It helps us out, and it's much more fun over there. You got more fun emojis, you got fun stuff you can do in the chat, so check it out. All right, ready for Google Gamut? Oh, you know what? Let's give a shout out just so everybody knows. If you value the show, we run on a value for value model. We put out the show. We've been doing it for almost 10 years now. And, some of the listeners out there have been listening for 10 years, which is crazy. And for those who don't know, we got 10 years worth of shows. Canary Cry Radio. You can find that on we haven't been doing 3 shows a week like we've been doing recently, but search Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk, 2 separate shows, but you want to listen to them both if you want to. It's a really great way to round out your weekly listening, and also a good way to round out your sort of worldview when it comes to all of this stuff. And Gons, lots of people have been reminding me that if you go back and listen to some of the OG Canary Cry radio shows, we pretty much are living in the sort of apocalyptic hellscape that we were, so crazily talking about back then. We've made a lot of predictions over the years, and it's really scaring me how much of them come true, and the listeners are starting to point that out as well. So if you want to listen to some shows where we made, we were talking about the personhood of robots and everything, occult stuff and political stuff, and the moon for a long time now. And a lot of that stuff has just become common knowledge. And back then they were just our crazy predictions back when I was recording in the garage. I recommend everybody check it out.
We're guilty of bringing especially the flat earth conversation to the forefront of at least the Christians. We weren't the only ones, but we were one of the first to do an interview with Mark Sargent, and at least for again the Christian fringe, for better or worse. That took place. It brought Rob Skiba down that rabbit trail, and he's certainly done a lot of work in that realm. Although you don't always have to agree with his conclusions here. But I do have a quick ISO for people that can't stand Basil's pitching going on.
I can't deal with it right now, Basil.
That's from
you know what, if people supported the show, if people did this is free programs here. If people volunteered their own supporting of the show, I wouldn't have to pitch. But we got kids to feed, we got cats to feed, and we are your essential employees. So we live on value for value. We put value out there, and it's up to you guys to give value back. Some of you have been listening for the 10 years we've been doing this show. And if you want to support the show, head to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Lots of great rewards there and bonus episodes. There's episodes there that nobody, except for the small amount of Patreon supporters, have ever heard. So go check that out. But if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. Head over to canarycryradio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. And over there, you got all sorts of fun ways to support us. Got some, you can give us, pass that cryptocurrency along if you're a cryptocurrency person, as well as there's some PayPal options. And if commitment's not your thing, you can do one-time donations over there as well. So there you go. Somebody was asking for our public BTC,
yes.
ETH, and Litecoin accounts. Do we have that?
We have public keys. I gotta dig them up because I'll get that to the guy that was asking.
Keys there, and we'll put them on the support page. So thank you very much, everybody.
Cool.
All right, Gons, what do you got?
Okay, so I guess there's a couple things here. I know many of us, especially those of you guys watching on this channel, on the Face Like the Sun channel, and all the listeners out there, there's a bit of a feeling of,
I tried to tell you,
when it comes to all of this taking place, the lockdown and the quarantine and the unconstitutional power overreach. And I wanted to look things up because, I had spent some time last night Googling. I used Google. And, people always say,
look it up.
So I did. I typed in coronavirus on Google, but I set the date range from 1970 all the way to 2018. So I was looking for things prior to 2018, what the word coronavirus would actually bring up. And I found, obviously there was a bunch of articles that came up. 20 pages worth of, which is not a lot if you really think about it. Only 20 pages under the Google search brought back coronavirus as something that was published prior to 2018. However, most of those pages are updated with COVID-19. Oh, the latest on COVID-19, even though the page just says 2004, some website from some whatever, it's updated to whatever coronavirus thing. So I dug out as much as I could, and some of this information may be old, in terms of, well, it is old information, but some of it may be regurgitating what some other researchers may have pointed out in the past. But I just wanted to see, because everyone's talking about coronavirus. It's just this pandemic. It's killing all these people, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to give you guys a quick rundown of the research that I found. All the links will be in the description section of canarycrynewstalk.com. Hyperlinks to all of this. But the first one I found was from PubMed. This is something that was published back in October of 1990. The time course of the immune response to experimental coronavirus infection of man. And they had, I'll just read a little bit of the abstract here. After preliminary trials, the detailed changes in the concentration of specific circulating and local antibodies were followed. 15 volunteers inoculated with coronavirus. It was 229E back then. 10 of them who had significantly lower concentrations of pre-existing antibody than the rest became infected, and 8 of these developed colds. And later it says, in this group, antibody concentrations started to increase 1 week after inoculation and reached a maximum about 1 week later. Thereafter, antibody, I think it's titers, I don't know, TITRES, slowly decline. Sounds like a big science word that I don't know. And then it says, these results are discussed with reference to natural infections with coronavirus and with other infections such as rhinovirus infections. So back in 1990, they were already doing controlled tests of how people would respond if they're purposely being infected with coronavirus. Of course, a different strain, but something to keep in mind here. Another one I found was from 2003. This is October 2003. Isolation and characterization of viruses related to SARS coronavirus from animals in southern China. And it says here, again, this is from 2003. This disease was first recognized in Guangdong province, November 2002. Subsequent to its introduction to Hong Kong in mid-February 2003, the virus spread to more than 30 countries and caused disease in more than 7,900 patients across 5 continents. A novel coronavirus, S-CoV, was identified. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Gons.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm looking at the chat here. Everybody's saying that YouTube shut down the stream.
Really?
Is that something you know about? Are you able to see something about that on your side?
Let me see.
There's a whole big thing that the stream went down on YouTube. I'm looking around. I still got it on Facebook and Twitch. Looks like Susan Wojcicki finally had enough of us.
Susan.
Another reason why people should head to Twitch. Why don't you throw the Twitch link into the chat there so people know where they can go to get a non-messed up stream. This is what we've been saying, people.
Wow.
The whole thing. Maybe some of you Twitchers can head over to the and tell people to head to the Twitch.
I'm looking at my dashboard. It looks like 10 people are watching through the Canary Cry radio page. Yeah.
Yep.
And let me see here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just one of the things. Sorry to interrupt your thing there, but
it says
the
live.
chat just blew up with the fact that the YouTube taken down.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it did. It says 47 streamers, and we had hundreds just a second ago. So maybe they did shut it down.
Yeah, we lost like 400
viewers all
now.
At once. Wow. Did we say something? Did I say something bad? I guess I'm talking about the history of coronavirus.
Looking at the history of coronavirus.
Might have been bad.
They shut us down over there on YouTube. Wow, I didn't know they would actually take it down on the live stream.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So why don't you continue? I'll do some typing and try to
let me type in the chat real quick.
The chat is still going.
Because I think I'm just gonna say for those on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, it seems like they shut us down there. Shut us down. Please go to Twitch to watch the rest. And hopefully that will get people over to... Well, I guess we could do D-Live too. I saw Titus Frost complaining about how Twitch is a Bezos trash, I think is how he put it.
Yeah. You might as well put D Live up there too. For
Hey,
a lot of them are not going to come to Twitch just because they're bitter at me talking about it all the time.
well, D
All
Live,
those
we got 18.
Susan Geeky lovers.
We got 18 people on D Live now, so I think that's the most we've ever had on D Live.
Ooh,
So
18. That's
yeah.
fun.
Okay, all right. So I guess I'll keep keep going for the rest of everybody else.
And like that, Twitch has become the most populated Canary Cry News Talk streaming location.
They didn't like me talking. Susan, I have a letter from you, Susan. I was going to show the letter too. My my YouTube mark. Okay, where was I? I was reading through this little 2003 thing here that talked about how the virus came out of China. A novel coronavirus S-CoV was identified as the etiological agent of SARS, and the virus causes a similar disease in cynomolgus macaques. Human S-CoV appears to be an animal virus that crossed to humans relatively recently. Thus, identifying animals carrying the virus is a major scientific interest and public health importance. This prompted us to examine a range of domestic and wild animals in Guangdong province, again back in 2003. And let me see if I highlighted anything else in this article. Looks like I did down here. Oh, here it is. It is conceivable that civets, raccoon dog, and ferret badgers were all infected from another as yet unknown animal source, which is in fact
ferret badgers.
Yeah, the true reservoir in nature. However, because of the culinary practices of southern China, these market animals may be intermediate hosts that increase the opportunity for transmission of infection to humans. Further, extensive surveillance on animals will help to better understand the animal reservoir in nature and the interspecies transmission events that led to the origin of the SARS outbreak. So again, way back then, they were already talking about the point being that this type of outbreak has already happened in kind of a micro way all across the world. Here, I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly here. This one, do I have one that's sooner than this? Okay, so this one's the 2005 History and Recent Advances in Coronavirus Discovery. Again, 2005. Abstract. Human coronaviruses, first characterized in the 1960s, are responsible for a substantial proportion of upper respiratory tract infections in children. Remember, we were all told that it doesn't affect kids, it doesn't affect young people, it's all just old people. Well, the original thing was discovered in children. And says down here, in the late 1960s, Terrell, which was the scientist doing the study here, Almeida and Terrell, was leading a group of virologists working with the human strains in a number of animal viruses. These included infectious bronchitis virus, mouse hepatitis virus, and transmissible gastroenteritis virus of swine, all of which have been demonstrated to be morphologically the same as seen through electron microscopy. This new group of viruses was named coronavirus, corona denoting the crown-like appearance of the surface projections, and was later officially accepted as a new genus of viruses. So there you go. That's a little bit of the history. In the last 3 decades after discovery, human strain OC43 and 229E were studied exclusively, largely because they were the easiest ones to work with. OC43 adapted to growing in suckling mouse brain and subsequently in tissue culture was found to be closely related to mouse hepatitis virus. Strain 229E was grown in tissue culture directly from clinical samples. The two viruses demonstrated periodically with large epidemics occurring at 2 to 3 year intervals. Strain 229E tended to be epidemic throughout the United States, where strain OC43 was more predisposed to localized outbreaks. As with many other respiratory viruses, reinfection was common. Infection could occur at any age, but it was most common in children. So again, I mean, it mentions how it's an epidemic that spread across the United States, but of course we didn't lock down or do anything crazy at that time. And I think there's one more little highlight here. While research was proceeding to explore the pathogenicity and epidemiology of the human coronaviruses, the number and importance of animal coronaviruses were growing rapidly. Coronaviruses were described that caused disease in multiple animal species, including rats, mice, chickens, turkeys, calves, dogs, cats, rabbits, and pigs. There's more here. I'm not going to get into all of it. I think it mentions bats at some point here. But the SARS epidemic gave the world of coronaviruses an enormous infusion of energy and activity that contributed to the large amount already known about the virology and pathogenesis of coronavirus infections from the expanding area of veterinary virology. And then 2004, Van Herhoek et al. Reported the discovery of a new human coronavirus, NL63, isolated from a 7-month-old girl with coryza, Coryza, conjunctivitis, fever, and bronchitis. And mentions another strain from an 8-month-old boy. And
now, when is this from?
2005.
What's the date on this? Yeah, okay. Some people missed that.
Yeah. So this is November 2005 when this was going on. So yeah, they've done all kinds of stuff already, and again, this stuff was rampant. It was out there, and we didn't shut down the country because of it. And let me just move on here because I can stay on these forever. Let me make sure that I'm on track with the order here. Yeah, this one's 2012. This is 7 years later. So 2012, virology blog. A new coronavirus isolated from humans. A novel coronavirus was first reported by Ali Mohamizaki on ProMed Mail on 15th September 2012 from a 60-year-old male patient in Saudi Arabia with pneumonia and acute renal failure who died in July. The virus was isolated by culturing sputum on Vero and LLC MK2 cells and identified as a coronavirus by polymerase chain reaction. Dr. Zaki sent the virus to Ron Fauci in the Netherlands, who sequenced its genome and confirmed that it is a beta coronavirus closely related to bat coronavirus. 2012.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Gons, real quick. I just want to mention to everybody who is still able, there's having some trouble across the stream. It might be the stream coming out of your internet there, going out across the world. Just try refreshing your page there. And if it's just too laggy and you just can't get it working, just leave the page open. You can just pause the stream, leave the page open. Just for the numbers. Don't worry about it, folks. You're going to be fine.
It looks like our upload speed, well, it's not great. 3 megabytes a second upload right now. Not great. Maybe we're being throttled.
3 megabytes upload? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not good. We're being throttled.
Yeah. So again, I won't necessarily get into all of this, but alignment of the sequence with the other coronaviruses show that the new virus is related to bat coronavirus. They identified this back in 2012 was when they were talking about this. And in 2002, here we go. Coronaviruses are composed of enveloped virions that contain a positive strand RNA genome. Human coronaviruses may cause the common cold or severe respiratory illness. In 2002, the SARS coronavirus emerged in China and spread globally, infecting over 8,000 individuals and killing more than 900. The SARS coronavirus is believed to have originated in bats and spread to humans either directly or through animals in meat markets. Again, 2002. And there's an update here, and I think these updates are a little bit more recent because, of course, everything going on now. And let me fly through these. Here's another one from 2012. Outbreak specialist tracks down recent coronavirus. The situation reminded Zambon, who's, I think, the scientist that was doing the study, director of reference microbiology for Britain's Health Protection Agency, of the SARS outbreak in 2003, which spread from China to as far as Toronto, killing 916 people. If the virus spread from person to person in the Riada household, it has apparently since sputtered and died out, which is interesting. There's all these mentions of how the virus isn't that bad. Like it affects people. People have died, but it's not like super deadly in the way that we're being told now, at least this strand of it. Still, the discovery of additional cases, some in a cluster, who prompted World Health Organization to cast a wider net in its search for other cases, The Geneva-based Global Health Agency has initially warned countries to be on the lookout for cases of severe and unexplained respiratory illness in people who have visited or were residents of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And this article actually specifically surrounded this family and this guy from Qatar that I think contracted the virus and died from it. And let's see down here, it mentions that guy Fauci again, which is, I mean, it's spelled Fouchier, so not Fauci, but Faucier. When Ron A.M. Faucier and his colleagues at EMC compared the virus's genetic sequence to those of other known coronaviruses, they concluded it was probably from bats. Why it would suddenly start finding its way from its reservoir species to people now is another question without an answer at this point. In 2002, they didn't know how it went from bats to people. So any comments so far, Basil? I got a couple more here. Just highlights.
Nope. I think you're covering it well.
Okay.
A lot of bats, a lot of animals, a lot of information.
A lot of information that you're probably not going to find because these are buried on page 12, 13 of, if you Google coronavirus, and do it before 2019. Do it, limit it to 2018 and before. This one, real quick, June 15th, 2014. This is Gene. What is this? I don't know how to pronounce it. Genig News or Genig? I don't know. Gene NG News, maybe. Yeah, Gene NG News. Yeah, it's confusing. MERS, MERS, getting a handle on a serious zoonotic coronavirus infection. And it says here, it is understandable that some may be concerned about this situation, but this first U.S. case of MERS-CoV infection represents a very low risk to the general public, according to Anne Shushat, MD Assistant Surgeon General and Director of CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, in referring to the Indiana man. There's an Indiana man that came down with the MERS virus here. And later in the article, it says here, given that it took 10 years and a couple of wrong animals, including chickens and civets, to find the likely origin of the SARS-CoV virus, the identification of camels as potential MERS-CoV happened fast. Teams led by Zhengli Shi, PhD from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Chinese Academy of Sciences, and Peter Daszak, PhD from EcoHealth Alliance, identified SARS-like coronavirus.
EcoHealth Alliance.
Yeah.
Perfect.
In Chinese horseshoe bats that were 95% identical to human SARS-CoV, as evidenced by whole genome sequencing. These scientists isolated the first known live bats SL-CoV that replicates in human and related cells and can use human angiotensin converting enzyme 2, that's ACE2 receptor for docking and entry into human cells. I mean, so it seems like they knew quite a bit about how the coronavirus in general works. I get it's a different strain that they're talking about here, but I mean, just all this literature and all this research on it, it's just remarkable that now that the word coronavirus has become this politicized New World Order tactic to lock everything down. I mean, there's just, it's incredible that there's so much research, prior. Quote, there are enormous problems with the idea of a MERS vaccine, virologist Ian Jones, PhD of the University of Reading, told Reuters, quote, I can see that they want to say they can make it, and biochemically, of course, they could, but practically, it doesn't make any sense. And he asks, who would you vaccinate? Would you vaccinate the whole population when only a tiny number of people seem so susceptible? Interesting comment from a virologist back in 2014. It mentions the Middle East having kind of a hotbed. And then Dr. Asiri and his colleagues pointed out, quote, major gaps in our knowledge of the epidemiology, community prevalence, and clinical spectrum of infection and disease need urgent definition. So this is back in 2014. Very interesting stuff that you're probably not going to hear from your normal coronavirus commentary. What exactly is coronavirus? This is January 30th, 2015. Medical Express, a couple more here and then we're done. And this one, the MERS virus, belongs to the coronavirus family. Even if you haven't heard of coronavirus until now, you have probably heard of some of the illnesses different types of coronavirus can cause, like severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. And if you've been coughing and sneezing thanks to a cold, then you could have had a bout of infection with the coronavirus. They aren't new or even that rare, but we still don't know very much about it. Coronavirus infects humans on a regular basis and are one of the number of viral groups that lead to symptoms that we can clump together and call the common cold. Coughing, sore throat, runny nose, sneezing, and fever. While this may leave you feeling unwell for a few days, they are rarely lethal. The common cold causing coronaviruses have been with humans for some time, and therefore we have natural immunity to them, reducing the risk of lethal infections. I got some red highlights, which means it's intense. Within 8 months in 2003, the SARS virus spread to 29 countries, infecting 8,098 people and killed 774 of them. And now, a decade after the SARS epidemic, we are facing an ongoing outbreak of another potentially deadly coronavirus, MERS. The SARS coronavirus led to a newfound interest in human coronaviruses. Researchers started looking for coronavirus reservoirs, places where the virus can be maintained in the wild by transmitting between but not killing its hosts. Because coronaviruses can mutate and recombine, they can sometimes jump species. Both SARS and MERS coronaviruses are very closely related to bat coronaviruses, suggesting that both these viruses could have emerged from bats. The SARS virus is believed to have spilled over from bats to civet cats to humans. The MERS virus is believed to have spilled over from Egyptian cave bats to humans, with camels acting as the intermediate host species. And how do we control the spillover of coronaviruses? Again, 2015. Controlling spillovers is not as easy as it sounds. As humans exploit the virgin forests and come into contact with exotic species of animals, one cannot predict the various different viruses that humans could encounter, some of which have never been seen before. The scientific community has only recently started looking at bats and the viruses that they harbor. They are also trying to explore how bats survive infection by these viruses and extrapolate that knowledge to humans. So again, a lot more information known than you'd think. And 2016, this is, I think, my favorite here. 2016 article on Engadget. Scientists model a coronavirus's infectious bits for the first time. A collaboration of scientists from the University of Washington, the Pasteur Institute, and the University of Utrecht have harnessed a state-of-the-art microscope and supercomputer to model coronavirus's infection mechanism for the first time. They already had supercomputers doing this for us, Basil, back in 2015, or is it? Yeah, 2016, February 2016. Once inside, these viruses can cause pneumonia if you're lucky. The strains that become SARS and MERS have a mortality rate as high as 37%. Plus, there is currently no antigen for SARS or MERS, which makes them specific or especially dangerous. The research team leveraged a single particle cryo-electron microscopy technique to model the spike of a coronavirus that infects mice in terrific detail. The team managed a 4 angstrom resolution, about a tenth of a nanometer. With this new analysis, the team believes they've identified a potential weaknesses in the virus's defenses. Turns out the spike has a small peptide chain running along it. The peptide helps facilitate the virus's entry into a cell, but could easily be hijacked by a treatment. There you go. They actually found a way to maybe mitigate the virus way back with the simulation, which I thought it was funny that, you know, all the simulation talk. Well, they had a simulation that actually found
simulation will cure all.
Cure it. So there you go. Again, all the links will be in the description. Those are the ones that I can dig up that are actually pre-2018 articles or reports of the coronavirus that's public, that Google is openly sharing. Of course, Google doesn't like that. It's probably why they shut down our feed. It looks like it's back up, though, at least on
looks
YouTube.
like we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I would like to remind everybody to, take a stop at canarycrynewstalk.com, because we put the show notes up, for every episode. And if you heard a story, if you heard something mentioned in the show and you want to know more, or you just want to catalog all the sources that we use, and especially Gonz's little Google extravaganza he did here at the end. All very interesting. You can see the sources. I saw people asking for sources. So go to canarycrynewstalk.com probably in a few hours, because we'll be putting up the podcast version of the show, which will have some better audio for you audiophiles out there. You can find that at canarycrynewstalk.com. And we got all the show notes, all the links, everything you'll want will be there. canarycrynewstalk.com. So make sure to check that out. Well, that's very interesting, Gons. That's part of the thing that just doesn't sit right, because a lot of people heard coronavirus for the first time during all this thing, and then it was only later that we were told, oh, coronavirus has been around. Yeah, we know a lot about it. We've been studying it for years. That Wuhan lab has been working on coronavirus stuff for X many decades. So, and it's just weird. I mean, it's not a new thing. Of course, this is the novel coronavirus, but hey, but buddy, get those peptide chains and those tardigrades and just go at it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You say novel, but I think there was one of the first articles I mentioned. They used that same phrase, the novel coronavirus, back in
that is interesting,
2005 or something. So, again, all those little trigger words that were already out there being weaponized for this occasion, and obviously the big excuse. And the one thing that if you read through, I tried to read through all of these, all of the articles through here. And a lot of times it mentions the World Health Organization at the forefront of this research, which is very suspect, obviously, with their ties to everything else, and how they're the ones that are leading the charge and making sure that this doesn't spread, even though it's spread. And if it does spread, then we want to know more about it. And, we want to make sure to scour everybody to keep tracks on it. And it seems like they just, whoever's behind it, maybe not the individuals that are operating on the ground, but certainly the people behind it have been gathering data as to how to not just, lock down everybody, but have not a legitimate per se, but a good enough excuse to actually instill fear in enough people that everyone walks around in masks and rubber gloves. And I mean, it worked
so hard.
It worked, man. COVID 1984.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Very good info. And I recommend everybody go copy and paste those links. Keep those links around, because in your conversation with your normie friends and family, you're going to need to pull some of that stuff out. canarycrynewstalk.com.
Yep.
Okay, well, Gons, as we start to wind down the show, are you good for a wind down? Do you have a whole bunch more?
No, I'm done. I'm completely out of gas.
Done.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get us out of here in a second. But for a few weeks now, maybe a month or so, people have been telling us mentioning to us to watch Upload.
Oh,
it's
yes.
a Amazon Prime show. Have you caught it yet?
No, I haven't. I've had a couple people mention it to me, though.
Yeah.
I saw a preview for it. It didn't look particularly...
that's where you are wrong, my friend. Oh man, I don't know how to say this name. Emphi mention. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your people's names. Whatever your name is, thank you for mentioning it. Upload here in the chat. I ended up catching it last night. I ran out of things to watch, and I watched it. Upload on Amazon Prime there. And Gons, I'm telling you, man, we need to start getting royalty checks, because whoever is doing this show definitely is mining. We've seen this happen over the years, especially recently, new shows coming out that are just directly pulled from Canary Cry Radio episodes, and that's Upload. Basically, it's a fairly well done show. It's the guys, one of the guys who did Parks and Rec and some other fairly popular shows is involved in this one. And basically, it's a show where when you die, you get uploaded, and they and not just, I don't know, they do a great job of exploring the social aspects of this. It's kind of in a near future type thing, might be like 2045 per se that this is happening. Some near future tech involved, self-driving cars, things like that. Very interesting look into things that are definitely going to happen in our lifetime, Gons.
Yeah.
But part of that is uploading your consciousness. And they refer to it as heaven. You know, there's a lot of marketing. You know, now we know heaven exists. We've created it. And, you know, if you're rich, you can go to get uploaded to the really nice, you know, heaven. If you're not that rich, you know, there's some value bargain bin heavens you can be uploaded to before you die. And, you know, you got to be uploaded before you actually die because, and, you know,
they lose the data.
So
your data goes dark.
So long story short, this first episode is this guy gets in a car crash, and it's pretty funny, actually. It's a pretty funny show, and he gets pressured into you know, taking a slot in his awful girlfriend's family plan in heaven. In upload heaven, and you know, comedy ensues from there. But they make a point to have the conversation of like, you know, some guy's dad is sick and dying, and he's like, let's just do it. Oh, and by the way, when your consciousness is uploaded to heaven, you can call the living. You know, you can communicate with the living,
like ghosts.
Yeah, basically ghosts in the machine. But the conversation is, you know, like, Dad, you're going to die. Let's upload you. And the dad doesn't want to get uploaded because his wife died before, and he doesn't want to live in an afterlife without his wife. And his wife believed in, you know, in real heaven, Jesus heaven, the heaven of the Bible.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it may exist or it may not, but I'd rather be wherever your mom is. So it's very sweet. An interesting thing to point out, and I might bring some more specific pointers next time. I've only seen the first episode. But when you get uploaded, you choose your religious affiliation, just so you know it's in the data bank. And the religious affiliation of the guy, the main character, is non-denominational charismatic Christian.
Hey,
which is interesting. Yeah, because I grew up as a non-denominational charismatic Christian. A lot of the listeners grew up as that. So
they probably profiled you.
Well, it kind of gave an interesting view because, of course, as we, you know, experience the reality of this upload thing that's going to come in a couple decades, you know, the question is, do Christians, you know, get uploaded, or do we rely on the heaven of the Bible, or do we get uploaded to make sure we go to, you know, fancy techno Elon Musk heaven? And I thought it was interesting that this guy was a non-denominational charismatic Christian and chose the upload rather than the biblical heaven. Very interesting.
All right, I'll have to check it out.
So there you go.
Is it? So it's it's kind of framed as a comedy, kind of?
It's funny. Yeah, it is a comedy.
All right.
It's not, you know, a lot of these shows like Black Mirror and stuff, very intense, very scary.
Right.
This also intense, also scary in its own way, but it's a comedy. So they make a point to be, you know, funny, because, you know, that's what comedy is. Okay. You good to land this plane, Gons?
I think so. Yeah. Store your treasure.
Okay. Yeah. We've been going a while.
Store your treasures in heaven.
Away, but I'm still tired.
Yeah. I was just going to say, store your treasures in heaven, and where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Maybe he meant, you know, maybe he was talking about some of those virtual heavens in the future, you know, where moth or rust destroys.
Certainly possible.
Where thieves do not break in.
Yes, very good.
Break into your mind upload heaven. Sorry, go ahead.
That's right. Mind upload heaven has been something that we've been talking about for years, and so they took it straight from us. Even the anyways, I'm gonna keep watching. I'll be pointing out what's going on and more ways that Hollywood needs to give us our money that we're owed. We're giving them all these good ideas.
That's all right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for being in the chat. The chat was great today. Thanks for all the new Twitch viewers and the D Live and the YouTube. Thanks for sticking it out. We survived our stream banning on YouTube there. We're back up. And thanks for everybody sticking through, some buffering, some lagging, but we're back in action. Now, remember, we've been doing this show for a long time, and we're going to continue doing the show, and we're doing it for free. We don't believe in advertising because advertising makes you not a listener or a producer or something like that. It makes you the product. We don't believe in selling your attention, making you into a product in order to further the goals of corporations. So that being said, we do rely on the value for value model. Those of you who get value from what we do, please consider going to patreon.com/CCNT, where you can support the show, get some rewards. And, that's kind of where we have to leave it. It's up to you guys. If the show is going to continue, it needs support. It's the only way we're able to put the time and attention into doing the show and not going and working at Home Depot, which is an option. Or we might have to become snitches. If you don't want us to become snitches,
I know,
and work for the Snitch Academy,
snitches make more than podcasters. Apparently.
Oh, they make significantly more than podcasters. So help us at least not have to get jobs as snitches. You can go to patreon.com/CCNT. We got rewards. We got bonus episodes, all sorts of fun stuff. Or you can head over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And over there's other options, non-Patreon options. I get it if people want that. And if commitment's not your thing, you don't want to sign up for, a recurring donation. You can make a one-time donation in any amount over there.
Oh,
and
let me interrupt you. Canon Carol, thank you for chat. Parrot character. Oh, it's a sticky. I think they describe it. Hey, you, while lowering his glasses. I guess it's yeah, I don't know why the chat does that. It doesn't show the actual sticker, at least through the restream. It shows a description of what the sticker is doing.
This one says it doesn't show the actual sticker. It says pair character turning around, waving his hand, saying "Hey you" while lowering his glasses.
So Canon Carol, thank you.
Thank you, Canon Carol. I love that. Okay, and Anthony on YouTube says, "Ain't nobody got no money." Yep, you're right. I understand. So if you got a few bucks, you can help Gons feed some babies, help me feed some cats. That's great. So thank you guys very much. And remember, head over to Twitch, follow us on Twitch. We're trying to get partner over there. We got about 10 more days to get that average up. So hopefully we can do it, Gons. I'm looking forward to that. We got all sorts of fun ways to support ourselves over on Twitch. And it's fun. Thanks for tuning in on D Live. D Live went nuts today.
Yeah.
All sorts of people over on D Live. We had like 35 at some point.
I think Titus Frost brought over some folks, so I appreciate that, Titus. Stephen B, thank you for the super chat there.
Yeah, thanks for the super chats. Oh, super chats are fun. Yeah. Okay, now let's see. What else do we need to tell anybody about anything? Do we have anything cool going on? We're quickly approaching 200 episodes of CCNT, which is fun. We've officially passed Canary Cry Radio in episodes, but
we've blown past Canary Cry Radio.
Yeah, we blew past it. So there we go. I don't think there's anything else to plug on, so I'm just going to let these people go, I think.
Okay.
Unless we want to just sit here and chat for a while.
Jeff Bezos, RFID chip in stock. Give me your Bitcoins, noobs. The word Bitcoin, it's not Bitcoins. It's one of those words that's both plural and singular. Yeah. Bitcoin, singular, if you're talking about multiple.
You say Bitcoins when you're talking to noobs.
Ah, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Also, Elon made an appearance there. I forgot to give you a shout out, Elon. Thanks. Okay, everybody. Here's the thing. Y'all got friends and family. Your normie friends and family. They're getting their news from the Facebook feed. They're getting their news from the television. Here's the thing. You got to walk right up to them. You got to tell them what to do. You grab them by the cage and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Ask Noah. You got friends and family. They're still getting their news from the wrong places. Go ahead and grab one of these episodes or an episode on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you at. Send it and let them know where the good stuff is. And that's right here on Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, we are streaming 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as long as the Lord permits it. And so hopefully see us this coming Friday. We're going to be trying to get going sometime between noon and 5. So keep an eye out on your notifications and your email, because it'll let you know when we're going live, folks, and you do not want to miss it. So make sure to tune in this Friday. We'll be back. And until then, make sure, everybody, to think outside the cage.
Look it up.
Burn it all.
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.